Hi everyone. So welcome back to another pick'em. Um, we are in week 4 now. So we should know who's good and who isn't. And as you can see, I do have a pretty good record of pick'em, like 33-15. And the main reason why right now is because week 3 was really good for me. If you were watching last time, dude, I got 13 of these picks right. I went 13-3, and the only ones I lost were Texans, Jags, Colts, Ravens, Cowboys, Cardinals. Like, these were massive upsets. These were the 3 massive upsets of the week. And I mean, I got them. I got most, like, a vast majority of these games pretty much on the nose. I mean, and it was a pretty crazy week too. So, I mean, hats off. That was a great performance in week 3, but week 4 is not going to be as easy. But starting off with week 1, I picked the Lions this week. I don't think the Packers are really all that, great. Like, their comeback against the Saints was kind of overrated, if I'm going to be honest. Like, they didn't have Derek Carr for the entire second half of the game. It's not that hard to come back against, an offense that's really that anemic with Jameis Winston throwing the football. Like, and the Lions have just been playing good football, containing the run. Like, they pretty much shut down the Falcons. That literally frustrated the Packers so much. Like, I think that they'll, Jordan, and again, this Packers team is really, really injured, right? Like, they don't have all of their best weapons just yet. I don't know. If they get them all back, then maybe this week gets better for the Packers, but I just don't think it's going to happen, I don't think everybody's just going to come back tomorrow. So I have the Lions winning this one, and next week is going to be Falcons, Jags, and this game is a lot closer than people really, think it to be, right? I mean, the Jags have been struggling lately, and even though people like the Jags, they're really struggling. Their defense isn't playing its best. I mean, you just lost by 20 points to the Houston Texans. Like, there is just not, that's a horrible loss. That is unacceptable. You can't lose by 20 points to the Houston Texans. And this week they play Atlanta. And I have a feeling that Atlanta's actually going to win this game. And I get it. It's a shocker. It is. But, this is probably my upset of the week. I just don't think that Jacksonville is... their defense is squishy. Against Bijan Robinson and the Falcons' run game, their offensive line, it's not going to work. And their offense is just super inconsistent. And I think that is just a recipe for disaster against Atlanta. They just match up so horribly against the Falcons. I just can't. I don't know if I can see them winning this game. I'm pretty confident in this Falcons pick over the Jags. Next up is Dolphins-Bills, and I do have the Dolphins winning. So, the reason I do, this is not last year's Miami Dolphins. And I get that the Bills are pretty good too, but this Dolphins team is a lot better than last year. And it's not really in the passing game. It's not really in Tua, even though Tua is a lot better than he was last year. He started off last year pretty similar to this, but it's not like last year. Because last year was pretty much all just Tua and the passing game and these receivers that they had, Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. But they just scored 70 points without Jalen Waddle. How'd they do that? The Dolphins' run game right now is insane. Mike McDaniel has really figured out how to use the run, and it's gonna be disgusting. It puts fear in the hearts of so many teams. The Dolphins have the most rushing yards in the league. Their run game is elite. I mean, Raheem Mostert is playing he's playing like he's back in San Francisco, like back in 2019. And Devon Achane's speed with the men in motion and the outside zone with the speedy running backs, this run game is insane, and it's a dimension to this offense that wasn't there last year. And the run game is a quarterback's best friend because it's taking the pressure off from Tua, where he doesn't have to do a lot on every single play, and it's a recipe for success in Miami. I really doubt that the Bills can stop this offense because it's just a lot more complete than it was last year. And now the Dolphins' defense isn't bad either. Still have Bradley Chubb. They still have Christian Wilkins. If Jalen Phillips is able to come back, like, the Bills' offensive line isn't really great either. And Josh Allen is known to have those weird bad games. I don't think he's gonna have one this week. I think they're gonna keep it close against Miami. But I love this Miami Dolphins team right now. I really do. Next up, Broncos Bears, and I'm just gonna have the Broncos winning. And I know you let up 70 points. How do you do that in the NFL? In the league we are in, you just allowed 70 points. That is that's moment of silence right there, right? But Denver is a really bad football team. And this is probably the Caleb Williams Bowl. But Chicago's in a tier of their own when it comes to trash. Justin Fields is literally horrible. He hasn't developed in his passing game, at all from last year. He's been horrible. The Bears' offensive line has been horrible. Even with the Darnell Wright pick, it just doesn't change everything. It's not going to change everything right away. And the rest of the O-line, and Darnell Wright's just a rookie. This is a horrible offensive line. One of the worst in the league, if not the worst. And their receivers play without effort. Cole Kmet, he was not a very good, extension. It wasn't a good front office decision. And, the offense, the receivers just play without effort. The play calling is really, really bad. The defense is horrible because the front offense literally barely invested in the defense at all. They got a few linebackers and that's it. That's not going to change your defense. They didn't get any star players. They didn't draft exactly superstar talent on defense. What, a few second round picks? It's not going to save your defense. Those second round picks aren't going to become superstars right away. Very unlikely that actually happens. And they didn't get a surefire Brian Branch or no, none of that. They got some good prospects, but they're just prospects. This Bears team is horrible. This Bears team is putrid. And I think that the Broncos should very much get their first win of the year. And now you have the Ravens and the Browns, and I just got the Browns winning. And I'm sorry for spoiling you guys the next game, but yeah, the Browns defensive line is the best in the league. I don't think it's a conversation right now. The Eagles are very good. I'll give you that. The Eagles are a very good defensive line. But the Browns are better. The Browns have Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith. That is a deadly combination. Myles Garrett should be winning Defensive Player of the Year. He just should. He really deserves to win Defensive Player of the Year. And Deshaun Watson. And the thing is, the Cleveland Browns run game still isn't, despite Nick Chubb getting injured, it's still pretty strong. Okay, that was no pun intended right there. That's crazy. No way. With Pierre Strong on the team, that's okay. I'm not even gonna address that anymore. But yeah, this Browns run game isn't horrible, even without Nick Chubb, just because the offensive line is so good, and their backup running backs aren't bad either. And Deshaun Watson actually played really well last week. And the Ravens, coming off of a loss to Indianapolis, do I think they're a bad team? No. And am I overreacting to the loss? Again, no. But Browns are just the better team. They're a lot more complete. And I think they're going to wreak havoc on Lamar Jackson and the Ravens offense. But, this is a close game. This is going to be a good game, obviously. But the Browns defense, it's probably, I mean, it's for sure a top 3 defense. There's no world where you don't say that. Like, I'm just being honest. Like, right now, the Browns defense is top 3. And there's just no world where you don't say that. Like, it's insane. The defense that they have is going to destroy the league. And I already spoiled this one. Bengals-Titans, I mean, this is a tougher game, right? Like, all of these games that I've shown so far are, like, really, really tough. And this is no different. Even if the percentages don't indicate that, right? Like, I'm still going to pick the Bengals to win. But the Titans play the Bengals tough every single time. They played them tough in the playoffs. They're going to play them tough here, too. The Bengals' defense is a very good defense. And I think that on Monday, the Bengals were able to get a little bit of that old mojo back. And that's what they need to do. That's what they've been trying to do. They've been trying to get their old flow back. Like, and I think that they will slowly... I think that what's going to happen is the Bengals are just going to start slowly, improving and becoming better and get on a little win streak until they eventually, become what, they were destined to be, the Bengals of last year, AFC contenders. And this AFC North division is probably going to come down to the wire. I'm just going to be honest. I mean, it's a really good division. So, next up, we have this is the hardest game of the week. I'm just going to be honest. I flipped on this game a million times. Like, this is not going to be easy to predict. This is going to be super back and forth. And I still don't have an idea who should win. I'm leaning LA. Because Matt Stafford and these receivers are probably going to be too much for this Colts defense to handle. But the Rams defense isn't exactly great either. I think Aaron Donald should be able to wreak some havoc. He has 14 pressures on the year. And Gardner Minshew isn't exactly the greatest quarterback in the world. And I think the Rams have also impressed me a lot more. Even though they did lose to the Bengals and it didn't look exactly great, they played it really close against San Francisco. And the Colts got a few lucky bounces of the ball against Baltimore. Don't know. I don't know. I'm going to have the Rams just sneaking past Indianapolis. But both of these teams, I mean, nobody expected anything out of these two teams. And they have been shutting up doubters. But again, without Anthony Richardson, this is going to be really tough for the Colts to win and keep up with Matthew Stafford and these receivers. And I just don't think they'll do that. I don't think, they're ready for, extreme, real playoff contention yet. Really, is what it boils down to. And I think the Rams are a little bit closer to that than Indianapolis is, especially in the conference they're in. But also, I just think that, Stafford is going to get the Rams to win this game. Next up, you have Bucs Saints, and I am going to pick the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to win this game. Especially without Derek Carr. Without Derek Carr, this Saints offense isn't really all that great, and I get it. The Bucs have Baker Mayfield, Baker Mayfield didn't play well last week, but that was the Eagles. That was the Eagles' defensive line. And against the Bucs' offensive line, no, that's not a great matchup to be in at all. That's literally horrible. I mean, the Eagles' defensive line is just something else, and we'll talk about them later. But, oh my god. Okay. We'll talk about the Eagles' defensive line later. But the Saints' defensive line doesn't compare. Saints' defense in general, they have a nice secondary, but Mike Evans and Chris Godwin is a great way to match up against that secondary. They have a great receiver duo. Their run game hasn't really been awful to start out the season. They just played a really tough Eagles team, and as for the Saints, even with Carr, their offense is pretty inconsistent and gets a very good Bucs defense. Just don't know what you're going to get out of that. And again, their defensive line, I doubt that they really, do a lot to Baker. And if Baker's able to get the ball out fast, he has been making some good reads and some good plays. And the Bucs offense has been more consistent than the Saints up to this point. So I'm going to have to pick the Bucs to win this game. And next up, Eagles Commanders. And I am an Eagles fan, and I mean, this game should be pretty straightforward. Even though the commies are 2-1, I think it's a Mickey Mouse 2-1. They didn't play any really, real good teams. I mean, the Cardinals did just beat Dallas. Yeah, that's pretty cool, but the Cardinals aren't a good roster. They're playing hard right now against everyone they play. Jonathan Gannon, I mean, I thought he was the worst head coach in the league coming into the year. He shut me up, and he shut up a lot of Eagles fans and a lot of haters. He's not bad, but I'm going on a tangent. We're talking about the Cardinals later, but the Broncos, and we just saw what happened to the Broncos. That the commies were in a really close game. This Eagles defensive line is probably going to be even worse for them than the Bills defensive line was, because it's a better defensive line. And, Sam Howell's still a rookie. He showed that last week. And, I mean, this is going to be tough on Washington's offense to do anything. And even though their defense is going to be pretty good, especially against the Eagles passing game, dude, stopping DeAndre Swift right now feels like an almost impossible task. I really do mean that. So, I mean, good luck. Good luck, Washington, because they're gonna need it, I'm pretty sure. And Vikings, Panthers, and I do have the Vikings winning. I think that they are. I mean, they're they're the only 0-3 team that I don't actually feel like is a Caleb Williams contender for real. I just think Kirk is playing too well. I think that Justin Jefferson is playing too well. Jordan Addison is playing too well. They're only losing in close games. It's mainly because of their defense, not Brian Flores. Their defense is horrible, just like last year, but for different reasons. They have no personnel on that defense. But Andy Dalton is not going to outscore the Vikings offense. To me, it just comes down to that. And even if Bryce Young was in this game, the Panthers offense is just not a competent one. I mean, and the Frank Reich hiring was, honestly, I would probably say at this point in time it was pretty overrated. I mean, I get it, hindsight is 20/20, but I mean, really at the time, we really should have seen that Steve Wilkes was doing as good of a job as anybody with this team. We shouldn't have expected coaching to really improve much because, I mean, Steve Wilkes was doing a damn good job, especially with that defense. So, and, the Vikings are the pretty obvious pick here. I mean, their offense is just better. They are the better team. And they should, pick up their first win of the year. And next up, Steelers-Texans. I mean, this is pretty obvious. 17% of people picking the Texans. Wow. Ugh. But no, I think this is pretty obvious. I mean, the Steelers' defense really is something else. TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward. I guess the Texans' offensive line isn't really bad, and CJ Stroud has been playing really well. But this is a real test for the Texans. The Jags' defense and the Colts' defense. It's whatever. These aren't really great teams. But this, no. This is a real defense that they're going to have to play up against. And this is Mike Tomlin defense. This is going to be a rough game for the Colts. But CJ Stroud's been playing well. And the Steelers offense really is whatever. They haven't been playing really good, but they've also been playing some really good defenses. Now they get to take a breather. Playing the 49ers defense and the Browns defense at the beginning of the year, that's rough. Playing the Raiders defense had a little bit of a breather, scored a nice 23 points. And, they're going to have another one here. I think that this offense is going to grow a little bit more this week. They're going to get a little bit more comfortable this week. And next up, we have the Raiders and the Chargers. And, listen, I get it. Picking the Chargers to win at this point against literally anybody that you pick the Chargers to win against, you don't feel good about it. Even the Raiders. Even if the Chargers played the Bears, I would be a smidge hesitant to pick them. I'm going to be honest. Because this Chargers team is just not consistent. They're a bunch of chokers. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year with the way they're playing because they just get into too many close games. And they, most of the time, find a way to blow it because Brandon Staley is horrible. It's It just comes down to that. They need to fire Brandon Staley. And as long as he's on this team is going to make the playoffs. But against the Raiders, I don't know if I can pick against them, dude. This offense is just way too good. Even though their defensive acquisitions from last year are playing bad and their defense isn't really playing great, I mean, it should be enough to stop Jimmy Garoppolo. He hasn't been playing exactly well, and I get it. You know, he played the Steelers last week, and they were playing decently well against the Broncos. That's not really impressive at all, actually, considering what the Broncos have done over the past 2 weeks. But, I mean, yeah, the Chargers should beat the Raiders. The Raiders aren't a good team, and the Chargers should be. I don't know. But they should beat the Raiders. And next up, Patriots, Cowboys, and I'm just going to pick the Cowboys, you know. I'm not going to say that the game against Arizona was a complete fluke because it probably wasn't. Not probably, it wasn't. It wasn't a fluke. I mean, you know, like, and you could say that it is, but, I mean, the Cowboys just didn't execute. That's what it came down to. They didn't execute in the red zone. Like, they got on really long drives, but they couldn't hit it home in the red zone. Dak threw a pick. A bunch of fourth down attempts that didn't work. Field goals. Drives stalling. Did they even score a touchdown in the red zone the entire game? I think they may have scored one. Yeah, they scored one touchdown in the red zone. Jesus, dog's barking. This is horrible. I'm going to have to move. But, anyways. Yeah. The issue right now, you know, the Patriots defense is really good. This game is actually going to be a lot closer than a lot of people might expect. Because Dallas has a very good defense, and Patriots also have very good defense. This game shouldn't be too high scoring, but I think Dallas's offense is good enough to keep them ahead against New England. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I think the Dallas Cowboys should win this one because their offense should keep them ahead of New England. Again, New England just has one of the hardest schedules in the league. They're a good team. I do promise you that. So next up, Cardinals, 49ers, and look, I have talked about the Cardinals. Jonathan Gannon is a pretty good head coach. I'm just going to say it right now. The fact that he's making this roster play hard, I mean, he has been a great culture fit so far for the Cardinals. And they are playing very, very hard and very, very well. And with that, the 49ers are just a way better team. I mean, you can't fake it. Like, you can't. I mean, I get it. They did beat the Cowboys. And this is a pretty similar-ish game, but, like, the 49ers are a different animal. Like, the Cowboys are pretty cool. Like, they're a pretty good team, but the 49ers don't have that inconsistency. You know, like, they are going to execute in the red zone. They just have too many weapons not to. And their defense, I mean, it's also insane, just like the Cowboys. But the Cardinals might actually perform. They might actually keep it close against San Fran. But beating San Francisco is a different story. If they do, I might be ready to call them playoff locks. Because Kyler Murray comes back in a few weeks' time. And once he does, this team's going to be dangerous. Kansas City and the Jets, this is going to be a snoozer. I mean, yeah, the Jets' defense is really good, but, like, the Chiefs' offense is just better. Like, I'm sorry, I can't. Like, no, the Chiefs are just the better team. And the thing is, the Chiefs' defense isn't great either, but any defense is going to look great against Zach Wilson. Like, the Jets' offense, I mean, it is truly a waste of talent in New York. Aaron Rodgers' injury really, I mean, it really ended their season, and it's an honest tragedy right in here. Probably going to end up with a top 10 pick. I mean, oh my God, I feel so bad for Jets fans. I mean, they really had hope coming into the season. They're just going to have to watch Zach Wilson, lose them games single-handedly once again. Tough break, New York. Tough break, but, that's always sad when talking about the Jets. Oh, my God. And last up, Seahawks, Giants. I have the Seahawks winning this one. The Giants, they haven't been playing good against anyone. Against literally anyone. And, they had to literally, by the skin of their teeth, come back against Arizona, get destroyed. Their soul was taken away by Dallas. And they got blown out by San Francisco, too. This Giants team just, it's not a good team. They're not a good team. They haven't been playing well against pretty much anybody. The only reason they won against Arizona in the first place, I'm pretty sure the entire defense got literal death threats by the Cardinals general manager. I forgot what his name was. No, by the Cardinals owner, I'm sorry. What's his name? Or was kind of the old GM. I have no idea, but anyways, the Cardinals owner probably sent death threats to the defense like a choke or something, because, this is, the Giants are not a good football team at all. Now, I do think they're going to make it closer against Seattle, because, I'm just going to be honest, the Seahawks defensive line is definitely something to scoff at. And the Giants, and we all know that the Giants have been losing thus far because of their offensive line. It is their biggest weakness. Saquon Barkley still isn't in, though. Daniel Jones isn't exactly great. He hasn't been playing great. And this is a good Seahawks secondary. And the Seahawks offense, the Giants defense hasn't really been playing well either. Seahawks are just going to run right through that. As for score predictions, 27-17. Again, I do think... 27. That's 44. 27-17. Seahawks offense, it's a very good offense. Seahawks did beat the Giants last year, and they have a good offense in Seattle. Despite the early loss to the Rams, this is still a pretty good Seahawks team. They're going to make it far this year. And they are a good team, and the Giants, I can't really say the same, even though Brian Dable is pretty good, but the defense, it's not. And this season could get real scary real quick because the Cardinals, the Giants, they haven't been playing good, and I don't think they are very good as of right now. So we'll just see. That's it for my Week 4 picks. Little bit of upsets in there, a lot of upsets in there. It's gonna be a crazy week this week. And I don't think that my pick'em record right now, 33-15, this week might tank that because we got a lot of good games coming up, a lot of close games, games that the results could flip very easily with these games. There's some games that, I pretty much expect wins, but it's going to be tough, especially that 1 o'clock slot. This is going to be one of the great 1 o'clock slots of our times, but, anyways, that's it. Oh, this is a London game. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm still going to have the London is the Jags' home turf, but I don't know. It brings a new dimension into this game. Knowing that it's in London, should I flip it? I don't think I will. But that's interesting, because London is, the Jags', home turf. It's their home away from home right now. But, yeah, that's about it. I'll tell you guys in the comment section or the description or whatever if I do end up changing my pick, but I really doubt I will. But anyways, yeah, that's all for this video. Bye, guys.